Welcome, everybody. Episode 62 of the Hush Review. This is our old-timey movie episode featuring Sean and Ryan. Ryan, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good.
Thought I'd change it up a little bit for the movie theme today.
I said, Sean, watch two old-ass movies, and we'll, because we're having a hard time finding new stuff.
Sean watched one.
And Sean's like, I've only seen the old King Kong.
Yeah, I'm like, why would I go borrow that?
You have a whole trove of things to pick from.
All right, so I watched Treasure of the Sierra Madre. What are the two you watched?
I watched High Noon and The Third Man.
Okay, High Noon and The Third Man. I've heard of High Noon.
Actually, I recommended Treasure of the Sierra Madre to you, and that is a movie. Well, when you talk about it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah. Hey.
All right, pump the brakes. Let's talk about some news. What do you got?
All right. Well, I got two items for you. One of my old school favorite shows is getting a reboot on Netflix, Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, yes.
From the Stranger Things executive producer. It's been more than 30 years after its debut. And the Sean Levy is leading the revival, pretty much. The show's original creators are attached. And, so...
Yeah, they said they're going to keep the creepy vibe, right? They're going to kind of keep that weird. But what are they going to do for, like, the weird old man in the McGruff trench coat,
Oh, yeah. Only you could find him. And then it's like,
the hills of Northern
California.
Like,
oh, shit. It's like you go lock your door, and then you're like, updates. We caught him. It's like, you made me wait an hour to tell me the update, sir.
Yes, I know. Well, that's cool. I know. I heard about this a while ago, but I haven't heard any updates in a while.
Yeah, no premiere date, but it's like 12 episodes, so I'm looking forward to it. I thought it was a pretty cool show. Before that, you had In Search Of. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but that's
I heard about it from Tenacious D.
Yeah, I ordered like the box set for like $15.
Kick-ass In Search Of.
It's pretty good. It's pretty like it's a whoa.
Right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
In Search of Sasquatch. That was a kick-ass In Search Of.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Someone was calling me and it like went to my computer. I don't know what's going on there.
It's technology, man. Big brother.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries.
So we got that. And then another thing is we were talking a lot about the Avengers.
Here we go.
And so the latest news is that they're thinking it might need an intermission.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like old, and this is not an uncommon thing. Like old movies, like 2001, which I saw recently in the theater, had like an intermission. So it was like 10 minutes, like just a black screen, like nothing going on. You're like,
with all the smokers.
I didn't really need a break, but
I'll go deuce. I guess I got one on deck.
Yeah, so it's looking to have like almost a 3-hour runtime. And then Marvel's considering it. Doesn't mean they're going to have it. They're pretty rare nowadays, but it pumps more money back into the theater because, you go back, get some more food or whatever.
The Lord of the Rings didn't have one.
Yeah. I haven't.
Those are long.
I mean, yeah, they were really long. The biggest no to this, and this is a tweet by someone who's not really close to it, but I guess he has some inside dope on it. But he's not a known Disney insider, so we don't know what his source is exactly. The big contrary to this would be a no, because it would open up, spoilers. So, you can have the first half and then you go out in the lobby and start tweeting about it or texting people or whatever.
That doesn't stop you from doing it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened
see people
before,
on their damn phone all the time in the movies.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. So it just sanctions it, makes it okay. But so
all right. We'll see.
We may not get it. I don't care either. I mean, fans would probably sit through it if it was like 5 hours and not care.
Yeah, I mean, it's you get older, your bladder's not as strong, and you kind of go, well, I could appreciate that. But then, on the other side, it's, how are they going to get everyone back in there? Are they going to flick the lights in the lobby? Like,
yeah,
what's their routine? The logistics of it alone would probably be a little bit messy, but the concession stands would be a nightmare. They'd have to do something. I mean, like I remember, I don't remember what movie theater it was. It was down in L.A. It could have even been the like an ArcLight or something like that, but they had concession stands like right outside of the theaters, and they had them all throughout the place. So not just like the big main hub that's understaffed, and you get like it's everybody's first job, so there's no urgency or skill set, with your order or anything. I'd refresh. I think they'd make some money. That might be why they're possibly considering it as well. I mean, those same people are going to go out and buy more food and drinks and
but a lot of the theaters I go to now, it's like you get free refills. Like you get a free popcorn.
A lot of soda. That's a lot of popcorn.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I'll go and I have like soda left. If it depends on how long the movie is, so it doesn't really matter. But
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
All right, it's coming up soon.
Yep, that's my news. You got news?
No, news is good news, my friend.
Oh, good.
There's been nothing that's really, caught my eye other than some of the stuff I've been watching. And then we went down the quest of old timey movie night, and looking forward to getting into it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I've got one, you've got two. Why don't you go off and throw one of yours out there?
Okay. So, I don't know how I got this idea. I just wanted to do like a theme.
Punish his brother.
Something different and new. Just something, and also give me an opportunity to see something I've never seen. So, I checked out two movies. The first one is a Western, so I'll talk about that one first. It's called High Noon. It's 1952, and so basically I said, Sean, watch something old, preferably pre-1960, and then you said, I've only seen King Kong.
I was like, I think I've only seen King Kong. Maybe didn't Kubrick do one in the late 50s?
He did a couple, yeah. He did
I've seen those.
Okay.
Seen a couple of those.
So this particular film is a Western. Pretty good. I liked it. What is unique about it, I guess, for that time period is it's done in real time, and it's not like 24 where it's like the clock keeps ticking, and they'll show the clock every now and then, but it's not so obvious. But basically, it's like a town marshal who he just gets married, and then he finds out that a gang of killers is coming back to town. He had convicted one of them, and they had escaped, so they're coming back for blood. And so I thought it was pretty good. Let's talk for a minute about like the hallmarks of these old movies, though. Like, what do you notice about old movies that are different than modern day? I guess
it's a lot closer to like stage acting, and it's a lot closer to stage theater. So you don't really get the feeling at all that it's like on scene or on location.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing feels like it's done in the studio, and everybody's kind of like a stereotype. You don't really, none of the actors and things like that feel very authentic to me.
Yeah.
The music's obviously over the top, but you kind of get it. You got the black and white factor.
Totally with the music. It's like, he's coming to town. Da, da, da.
Yeah, it's like, totally
all right.
Top.
It's like it just determines the mood of everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of different elements. I'll talk some more specifics, but it feels a lot more like fantasy role playing as opposed to like real life, where lots of movies try to feel like they're real life. These ones don't really capture that, although I'm sure the intent was the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
A lot of the same things. It's like there are obvious classics, but it's like it seems like for the first maybe 30 years of cinema, like people were just kind of wrapping their heads around like the mystery of it and like how amazing it was, and kind of really experimenting, but it's like a lot of stuff. The good stuff comes later, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think movies and cinema really picked up any kind of steam until the 70s. Like that's where a lot of my favorite movies come from. Before that, they're like obviously dated, so it's like, to me anyway, it's like I can't enjoy a lot of these old movies, but some of them I really like. I think Citizen Kane's great. But a lot of other ones, you know, like a lot of Hitchcock films I like, but like a lot of other stuff, it's just like you watch it, I guess, just to see what it is, and then that's it. You're not gonna see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a throwaway at this point. You watch it for the historical significance, kind of seeing the path that led to movies today. I mean, when you compare it to something like music, it's a little bit different because music's a lot more, there's less magic behind it. And the cool thing about old music is that it's very raw and natural. You knew what it really took to make there. And there's a kind of a connection with movies as well. But it's nice to see, like, listening to old music. Like, I can get past the quality of the recording. You can see the talent there. You know, you can get past a lot of different hurdles, and you can still walk away with that person was talented, or they're still a great songwriter, or blah blah blah. But with movies, it's a much larger time commitment, and it's kind of that era, and it stays within that era. And some movies can transcend that, especially if it's got a really good story. So for me, that's really what I'm looking at, is like when you watch an old timey movie or just something that, you know, like, oh, the music's killing me, the acting's killing me, blah, blah, blah. The story and script can still be really good. So that's kind of what I lean towards.
Yeah. You know, but it's like some of this stuff, you dig deep, you find some kind of historical significance. Like with this one, you know, you go on and you find out what's up with it. I guess the screenwriter, this film was released at a time when there was something called the House Un-American Activities Committee, which was like investigating, you know, communist propaganda influence in Hollywood. So the screenwriter named Carl Foreman. Sorry, Carl Foreman was called before this committee. He was like a rumored to be a communist in the past, and then they were like, "Well, who are your guys?" And you know, like, who can you out? And he refused. So basically lost his job, but they kept him on the project per his contract. So that was a big deterrent to John Wayne taking this role as the main role. It went to a guy called Gary Cooper, who won Oscar. So, you know, so some might think it's maybe somewhat allegorical to like what was going on in the film. The marshals like trying to get everybody in the town to like help them out, and like everyone's being a pussy. Like they're like, no, we're not doing that. And eventually, some people turn around. Lloyd Bridges was in this film. He was Father Jeff Bridges, so interesting to see him in an early role. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's good how it's considered a classic film. Definitely like one of the Hallmark Westerns. So,
would you think?
Check it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, what'd you think of Gary Cooper in it?
I thought he was good. I mean, he's pretty like stoic, but it's like, you know, it's hard to tell with some of these old acting guys. He's pretty. I guess he's pretty like, you know, heralded as one of the better actors of the time. So, he did a pretty good job. I mean, it's like most of the stuff was on him. And he's just like he's got like a lot of weight on his shoulders. So the guy just got married, and then it's like, yeah, these guys are coming to town, and he's about to run away. I mean, he takes off with his wife and they're leaving town. Then he has like this conscience. It says, no, I got to go back and do the right thing. So one of the themes of the film is just like, you know, got to be a man. Like you got to face your demons. You got to take care of business.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So.
Cool.
Yeah. I thought he was pretty good in it.
What do you think of, like, you know, where High Noon sits at with like various Westerns and stuff from that era? Was it pretty influential, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the John Wayne ones, and I just can't get past him, like, as an actor.
God, I know.
You know, it's just so like, you know, rah BS, like, hey, Pilgrim, you know. So it's like, you don't know, like where the guy stood. He was pretty like right winging, but he wasn't like a great actor or anything. I tend to like the spaghetti westerns. There's a film called Once Upon a Time in the Old West, which is a great. Definitely check it out. But this was pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't rank it. I wouldn't know if I'd watch it again and again, but I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I read a couple things about it where like the Soviet Union criticized it, saying that the movie is a glorification of the individual. And Ronald Reagan, it was his favorite film. And what's this? Because John Wayne obviously was going to be in it, but he wasn't, right? He said it was kind of like the worst. What did he say here? Where's it at? The most un-American thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And when he later teamed with the director Howard Hawks to make Rio Bravo, in response, Wayne said, "I made Rio Bravo because I didn't like High Noon."
Yeah, okay, dude. I think it's just it's really just around the screenwriter. I mean, just basically was a communist at that time, which wasn't cool at all. I mean, he was like labeled an uncooperative witness because he didn't out people. But then, John Wayne had to toot his horn about it and didn't really like it. So pretty
there
interesting.
You go. Gary Cooper, High Noon.
Place in history. Yeah.
The story of a man who was too proud to run.
Yeah. But interestingly too, like Cooper was a good friend of John Wayne's too. And they were both like conservative. So I think Cooper was just going for I guess he saw the role as something he could take on.
Get paid.
Yeah. You had to. And then ironically he won an award. So
yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
High Noon.
Okay. Let's switch over to you. What do you got?
Watch it, people. All right. So
Amazon Prime.
So I had to rent mine because it wasn't available anywhere. And we're talking about The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And this is a 1948 American dramatic adventurous neo-western. And it was written and directed by John Huston. Or Huston.
Houston.
Okay.
Houston. Angelica Houston's dad.
Oh, well, there you go. That's it. So, starring Humphrey Bogart as Fred C. Dobbs. Tim Holt played Bob Curtin, and Walter Houston was the director's father, and he was put in this. It's basically, starts off with Humphrey Bogart like just slumming around, like spare a meal for a fellow American, going around trying to get pesos. He's in Mexico.
Where's he
for
at?
Some reason.
Okay,
Tampico, Mexico. And I think the first thing I noticed watching the movie is I was like, wow, that looks like Mexico. And it was actually Mexico. It was the first film not shot in the United States. So first American film made that was shot on location.
Right.
So that's kind of like a interesting thing to see. And then they team up with some other guy, he meets a little buddy. They go and do like some labor for a couple weeks for $8 a day. And of course the guy doesn't pay him. And so they tune him up in the bar, which was a hilarious fight scene. It was like the sloppiest fight scene. It took them like 5 days to film it. It was this whole shtick. They got their money, $300, $150 a piece. And then he also happens to win like the local lotto from some poor little Mexican kid selling tickets. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, give me that ticket, eh? See?
So then they team up with Walter Houston, who's like this grizzled prospector. And he's totally like,
I think he won an award for that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And, I mean, everybody said that he was like one of the finest acting performances ever. And I watch it. I'm like, that dude? That's like, you watch it and you're like, this guy's annoying as hell.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Oh my! No, it was just fast talking and swinging like such like this stereotypical prospector thing. And then, I mean, they've got like some fight scenes on they're like on the train out there. Then all these banditos come up like in their giant sombreros, like because that's how all Mexicans look, I guess. And
I guess.
They just like whip open their luggage and pull out some pistols and just start shooting them from like the train.
Yeah.
And they're shooting like, kids would shoot like, like Shooter McGavin does when he like takes his little fingers and points them. Yeah. And every time you shoot, you use a little forward hand motion, like bang, bang,
it's like, or like holding it close to the body and just boom, boom. Like,
totally.
No kickback. I mean, I fired a gun before. It's like, whoa. It's like tremendous kickback. These guns, no kickback at all.
So then after the banditos go away, they're kind of like, how many did you get? I got 3. I got this. And they're like, you just murdered a bunch of people and you're totally like, have you killed people before? Like this really wasn't even established. It was just like,
it's your first rodeo.
Yeah. And so as it kind of goes through the movie and then they start, digging for gold up in the hills, they have another run in with more of the banditos. And that's where the guys got that, do you have a badge? And he's like, badges? We don't need no stinking badges. That dumb line. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is that. Okay.
That's where
I remember this from UHF.
UHF.
Badgers? Yeah.
Yeah.
So movie kind of comes along and then they all start getting paranoid at each other because they're splitting their gold 3 ways. And then they're all trying to like, of course it's like, no more trust or nothing like that. And you're kind of seeing like, okay, I see where this is going. But Humphrey Bogart's main character just kind of turns into the biggest son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he even went on quote saying to somebody like, oh, if you liked that film, wait till you see the next one I'm doing. I played like the most, the biggest shit in Hollywood or something like that. So yeah, I mean, and he ends up getting killed.
Then someone was like, not much acting there, are you doing it?
Yeah. It's not a far cry from your,
not much of a stretch.
Yeah. What's funny is that like he gets killed in it, and they filmed it to be like very graphic compared to like kind of how it was, I guess, in the book, where his head gets chopped off and rolls down a hill into some water. And so they shot it with like a fake head rolling down into the water. And then they show the people like reacting to it. And you see the water splash, like his head goes into it. But then in 1948, they said it was like, that's too much. So they censored it. So the way that the director camouflaged it, and I caught this before I knew this fact, is he falls down next to like a burrow. The guy pulls out his machete and does like one hack. And then the next scene, you see all the people like looking like their eyes are tracking the head rolling down. You don't see the head. And then you see like another, like the replay of the exact same scene of him hacking again.
Yeah.
And then it shows like the water like splashing, but you don't see the head. And that was like his way of like masking up the edit. And you're like, well, that was weird. It even stood out as pretty weird.
Yeah.
And then so they weren't, obviously Humphrey Bogart was disappointed the scene couldn't be shown in all its graphic glory. And his reaction to it was, quote, "What's wrong with showing a guy getting his head cut off?"
Well, like,
yeah,
it's pretty graphic,
48.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty true. It's like the war just ended and people don't want to see that shit. So
yeah, I know.
I mean,
so it's obviously I know why you wanted me to watch it. I mean, it's a classic movie. I know this is one that, PTA watched like every freaking night while making There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
I don't know how he could do that. He must be seeing a lot of things I'm not. I mean, it was,
I think it's a lot of the same themes, maybe the landscape a little bit too,
yeah, that's true.
Would probably lend itself to that. I think it's a pretty good movie. I mean, it's just kind of like a universal theme, I think that's why it would kind of hold up still.
Yeah, the story's not bad, and like the plot where you see it going. I mean, it's like almost 2 hours and 15 minutes, but there's not many plot points. So like right when you get into the middle, and they're like prospecting gold, like, you're literally watching them do that for like an hour. You're like, okay,
yeah, it's like, come on, we get it.
There's not a whole lot going on other than like micro developments of like the tension as they get more and more gold.
Yeah, you got see them flakes there. Get some gold flakes. It's like, all right. It's gonna get me a hot cup of coffee somewhere, dude. That's about it.
Yeah, I know. And then what was also funny is there's this weird scene where some guy, shows up while he's in town getting provisions, and he's like trying to muscle his way in on the camp. And then they ditch him, and then they go, and he's like, oh, he's been following me. And then the guy just shows up to camp, and he's kind of like, let me be in. You have 3 options. You can kill me, you can let me in, or you can run me off. And if you run me off, and then I'll go report you guys. And then if you kill me, then, when's it going to stop? You're going to kill the next guy. You're going to kill the next guy. And it was kind of funny because he just shows up and is like, I want in. And then as they're debating it, and they let him stay the night. And then that's when they have their gunfight up in the hills with the banditos. And then he dies. And you're like, well, that worked itself out.
Yeah. As they dust their hands off. Well,
it was just strange.
That little situation sorted itself out, didn't it?
Yeah. They just put him in there just to kind of expose how far you're going to go, and to have those talking points.
Well, it just shows the paranoia of that profession. Yeah. I mean, because that was a lot of people, that was that's all they did. They just banked on that. And so it's when you secure a parcel of land, that's, maybe going to reap some benefits. It's you're not telling a lot of people what you're getting out of there, because, they're going to swoop in and get it from you.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, the stuff just took care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting to me about this movie and just old movies in general is how fast the plot can move when they need it to.
Yeah.
It literally can be just a cut to cut, and you're like, we're here now. Okay, let's go. Where you're used to seeing a lot more of the B-roll footage is very different in older movies.
Sure.
There's not a lot of it. There's not a lot that set the tone of the scene. Everything is got something going on. And that's kind of what reminds me of a stage play. Is during a stage play, you're not seeing B-roll footage of the desert and this and that, and they work some of that in here. But his decision to pack up and become a prospector was rather quick. It was 30 seconds. And then his decision to partner up with some stranger he met was super fast. And it's just interesting, or you could tell the plot's moving along, but it doesn't feel as organic. And I don't think I've seen any movie with Humphrey Bogart in it, although he's the founding member of the Rat Pack. Is he? Yeah, he doesn't seem like the type of dude that would be a celebrity. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's one of his later movies.
Casablanca, that's his hallmark, that's
sure.
his calling card movie.
I mean, I guess it's just, maybe that's what they liked then. I mean, he was kind of skinny. He didn't really, he's kind of worn down and looking a little bit. Just was not he's not what I would assume your classic Hollywood George Clooney type would look like.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was fine.
John Huston too, pretty storied career. One interesting tidbit is that he was he killed someone in a hit and run, and then got away with it. It's whoa, dude.
Didn't Matthew Broderick do that too?
Yeah, a couple people have done that.
That's great. Let him go, people.
Yeah, I guess it was covered up by MGM's notorious fixer, Eddie Mannix.
You have a fixer?
Yeah, apparently. His name's Eddie Mannix.
Eddie Mannix. He'll take care of it. Just move along now. He's like the wolf.
Probably fixer like the dude in Hail Caesar.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of like that guy, but.
Yeah, so I mean, if someone's looking for a movie to watch, it's an important movie. It wasn't super well received in Hollywood because it was just the story and the leading actors, not somebody you really like, and I can see a lot of the significance and importance of it, especially for being the first movie to shoot on location, especially outside of the United States. And just the plot and what it kind of deals with, it's definitely different because a lot of older movies kind of romance so much stuff. So I'm sure it had a lot of it doesn't surprise me. It had a lot of influence on a lot of directors and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Kubrick said it was his 4th favorite film. Sam Raimi ranked it, I know, as his favorite film of all time.
Nice.
Yeah, and even Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad cited the film as one of his personal favorites and said that Fred C. Dobbs was a key influence in creating Walter White.
I can see that.
Yeah, and a key scene from the film was emulated in Buyout, the 6th episode of the 5th season, which I don't know what scene that is, but I have to go and look that up.
Yeah. Look that up and get back to me later, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Be all right.
All right.
Okay, there it is. The treasure.
Nice.
The Sierra Madre.
Very nice. All right.
Next.
I got another one. Next.
Next.
Moving right along.
Punch them out.
This one's been on my list for a while because I like Orson Welles. I don't know. Have you seen anything by Orson Welles?
War of the Worlds, Orson Welles?
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's interesting. Like he
I know enough about him.
Yeah, I mean he did that notorious like radio show. He did Citizen Kane, which is a pretty groundbreaking movie. We looked at that in film school and like how a lot of the techniques that were used in that film were like the first time they were done, just in terms of like shot compositions and things like that. And at the time it was a pretty brave film because it was a backlash against William Randolph Hearst, who is pretty big magnate.
Hearst is rad. Not as a person, but his place.
Yeah, so like a lot of the stuff in Citizen Kane kind of mirrors that. But then Orson did like a lot of acting work, a lot of directing work. He was one of the guys who tried to do a Don Quixote that never worked. Ended up getting like really fat, like very much so. So it was kind of like shocking. He was like this handsome kind of dude, and then he turned into a big fatso. So, want to look it up on YouTube. There's some very funny like gag reels of him doing a commercial in the 70s, like for frozen peas or something. And he's just, or like champagne or something. He's like,
no, it's the wine,
drunk.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's hilarious. I've seen that.
That's the one.
He's so hammered.
Yeah. I mean, there's like another one where he's, like in the studio doing the frozen peas and he keeps jacking it up. And it's so funny. Like it's just, he's like near the end of his career at that point. I think he died in the 80s or something like that. But pretty interesting guy. In this film, he didn't direct it. He's in it, but he, like to my dismay, he didn't show up till like an hour into the movie. So I'm like, where's Orson Welles? Like he's on top billing in this film, and then he doesn't show up for a while. But it's a good movie. Like it's gotten like a lot of praise for its look. It's got this black and white like cinematography, and then it has a lot of what are called Dutch angles, where it's like the angles like kind of like an oblique, kind of maybe like if the camera was sitting on the floor and like tilted a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of those in there, not like too many, like where it's calling attention to itself, but different kinds of lighting, and it's again like filmed on location in Vienna. So like you got beautiful scenery, you got some cool like black and white footage, you have a lot of different camera angles, some cool chase scenes. Basically it's based on a novel by Graham Greene, who's a pretty well-known writer. Guy goes to Vienna after World War II to meet his friend, Harry Lime, who supposedly has like some kind of job for him. But as soon as he gets there, he finds out that Harry Lime is dead. And then this gentleman, Holly Martins, he meets with some of the friends and finds out that it's kind of a shady death. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say, because there's a cool like plot twist in it. So I thought it was good. I think you should check it out. I really enjoyed it. And just in terms, I don't know why I've never seen it before, but it has that film. It's called film noir, where it's like kind of like black and white, certain look to it is one of the things about that. So it was done in the late 40s on location, which was interesting. And then some of the stuff was done in Shepperton Studios in London. So it's pretty interesting.
What year was this made?
48.
48. Same as Sierra Madre, huh?
Yeah. They said, they said Orson Welles pretty much like annoyed everybody on the set. Like he was notoriously kind of difficult to work with because he was pretty much like a prima donna. He was like a child prodigy. He knew he could recite Shakespeare by the time he was like 10.
Jeez.
Yeah, like there's a lot of scenes that were done in these sewers underground that were kind of cool, and then Wells was like complaining about shooting in the sewers, so they had to move it to the UK to do the shooting, around his schedule. So if that makes about as much sense. But definitely cool to check it out. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, how many movies did he make prior to this?
I'm not sure.
Like late in his career, right in the middle of his career. Do you know?
It's about in the middle. Like he still looks pretty good. And then another movie I was gonna watch that is on my list that he did was Touch of Evil, where he gained like a shitload of weight. And I think it was just like 10 years later he did that. Looked freaking horrible. I mean, it's just like got really big. I don't know what happened, but probably a lot of that wine from the commercial. He was drinking a lot of that, but yeah, he was like in his 30s when he did this. Citizen Kane, he had done that about 7 years prior. So I think he was still riding on that. That was a movie that a lot of people didn't think would get made just because of all the pressure and the stuff he had against him.
And did he act in all his movies, or is he,
He was an actor, and then he was like a director. So he was kind of like a George Clooney, where he made his own movies, but then direct or maybe starred in them. So in Citizen Kane, he wrote it, co-wrote it, produced it, directed it. He had a big hand in the editing. And then he did he did Magnificent Amberson's Lady from Shanghai, Touch of Evil, 58. Just a bunch of different things. So he'd like either direct it and star in it, or he'd just star in a movie without having anything to do with it. So he only made 13 movies in his career, pretty much like an outsider in the studio system, just because he wanted so much creative control in a time where I think like prior to like Kubrick, no one really had a lot of like creative control, over their movies. It just, he wanted to kind of control every aspect of the movie. And I think he kind of did that with Citizen Kane eventually, but a lot of his other films, he couldn't get that because it was kind of considered a flop at the time. So, but he, like he brought in a lot of like really cool camera angles, lighting, sound techniques, a lot of different, really big on like long takes, what you like. I mean, so he did like a lot of cool, like long takes and like tracking shots that people had never really done up to that time. So he's considered pretty much like a pioneer of a lot of the styles that you see today that people just don't know he did. Called The Ultimate Auteur. Orson Welles.
Isn't there like a new Netflix show about him out recently?
Yeah, it's called. I started to watch it and it's not that good. It's basically it was like an unfinished movie that he had done, that he was working on. The Other Side of the Wind. I think actually John Huston's in it that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But there's like a documentary about the movie, and then there's the actual movie itself, which it's called The Other Side of the Wind. Which I guess some friends like went back and kind of finished it for him because he never finished it. He had all these legal and financial problems, and that was one of the last things he was working on. So, maybe I'll check it out, but there's some other movies of his I still want to check out too. But he was always looking at, it was kind of like a mockumentary type film. Very experimental, very experimental as well, and kind of skewering Hollywood and different filmmakers at the time. So, people tried to reconstruct it, and then they finally got it done as best they could. So I'm sure if you watch it, it would feel like an unfinished film where you can kind of see where his work started and it was stopped and someone else started it. So,
yeah.
Interesting guy though. There's another cool documentary I saw on him recently. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's not too old. And there's a couple movies. Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It's a movie, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, The Cradle Will Rock. It's like it's Tim Robbins directed it. It's about like a theater project that was done the 20s or 30s, and there's a guy playing Orson Welles in that. There's another one called Me and Orson Welles with Zac Efron, I think, played Orson. apparently he did the voice of Optimus Prime in the Transformers movie. That's like one of his last things he did, I think. Yeah, like one of the animated.
Yeah, you kind of caught me off guard for a second. I was like, "Wait,
sorry."
what?
Yeah, one of the animated Transformers movies.
Yeah, literally just my brain locked up and went, "Oh yeah, Optimus
like
Prime."
He just like he'd do like serious stuff, but then he did a documentary narration called Bugs Bunny Superstar. So we do like just, and then he'd do those stupid commercials, which are again, I cannot stress enough how great those are. Just to see his, the frozen peas reel is just the best thing ever.
We'll need to link that to our Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll put it up there when the episode posts. I think it's definitely very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, not to say that you started a new trend, but you definitely have piqued my interest to explore some older movies and kind of extract things from them that, I might not typically look at. I mean, I'm kind of like I guess here's the whole thing with me is I really felt like I've tapped the internet dry of like new and exciting stuff to watch.
Yeah.
And I think it's not only because we've watched a lot of stuff over the last, year of doing this podcast. But I've always watched a lot of movies and stuff in general, and you're always looking for something new and exciting. And while I think older movies aren't necessarily it, there's still a curiosity just to kind of see like, yeah, this was the shit back then. Like, this was their Inception, or this was their, and like, I like that because I like history. And so for me, I'm looking at it for a different kind of thing. Same way you look at like a documentary. You want to watch something on TV, but you want to get enlightened or educated, and then you watch popcorn action because it's going to be stupid, but you don't want to really commit to something.
And I mean, it's there are historical timepieces too, because if you go back and watch some of these older movies, you really get to see like a lot of the racial overtones that exist.
Yeah, that's true.
And also like the treatment of women. It's just like, like how women were just like beaten. They just beat the shit out of them and like slapped them in public, and no one thought different. So it was like different time periods, and the films really serve to show that. And I guess if anything else, if nothing else, they're documentations of that mindset at one time. But then it just started, like I said earlier, like people just started to break ground with them and show real stories that kind of parallel what was going on. So, or just did new things, or like Kubrick just invented, camera lenses just to serve a film, and then people started using them from then on out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Old ass movies.
Old time and movie night.
Just a theme. We're not going to keep doing it, but
yeah,
could be a spin-off podcast.
Unless this episode just like
next week
crushes it, and then we're gonna
Nosferatu and the jazz singer.
Yeah, yeah. Next week we're gonna watch silent films.
Yeah, Al Jolson tribute.
Get ready. I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we have on deck for next week? I've been watching a lot of stuff I can talk with to kind of bring in.
I've been watching, there's two movies I want to check out this week that I noticed are for rent.
Throw them
one
out
of them's
there.
called,
we'll get people to come join us.
Sisters Brothers.
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly.
Okay.
Never heard of that? It's a Western.
I've heard, you know what? That sounds really familiar. Like I may have seen it at one point, but didn't know it was already like done and out.
Yeah. So that's out. And then At Eternity's Gate, which is about Van Gogh.
And who plays Van Gogh?
Willem Dafoe.
Oh, that one's out now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Rent them both on iTunes. So I might check those out this week. Still watching True Detective. It's great. I like it a lot.
I've 4 episodes in, so I think I got 2 more to go. Is it picking up?
Yeah, it's picking up. I mean, it's just different. Like you really got to pay attention because it's like, you're telling it in 3 different time periods. So it's like,
that's a bit.
Much. Now we're here, and it is. So I mean, it's you got to really follow it pretty well. But yeah, I've been watching a few documentaries, which I'll talk about next week. So we still got stuff. It's just like I hear you though. I mean, it's hard to certain things you look forward to, and then they're not coming for a while. So it's like, yeah, we got Narcos, whenever that is, and then that's one of my favorite shows ever. And Game of Thrones is in April, so I'm sure we could devote entire episodes.
We'll have some new stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
and some old discoveries. So
out. Yeah,
if we haven't talked about something, share it to us. Let us know. Hit us up at our Facebook. We have a group on there. You can jump in there in your group and say, hey, here's some movies I recommend you check out. And we will do that. And then we'll talk about them. And then we'll continue to live our lives.
That's our job.
That's our job. This is how we pay the bills, folks. God, I hope not.
Right?
Anyways,
because you're not living in a box under a bridge somewhere.
Hey, I'm just trying to survive this snowstorm that I'm getting up here up in Seattle. We got more snow on Friday than we have all 2018, and then it's just going to continue to be a monster, But anyways, we'll see. Todd wouldn't have none of it up here.
Looks like you're spending Valentine's Day indoors.
Yeah, I'm already getting cabin fever. I'm like, just getting all these more murdery thoughts and stuff. Yeah.
Misery.
Yeah, totally. Totally need to get out.
Whew. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Episode 62, Old Timey Movie Night. Ryan and I will be back next week talking about more of that kind of fun things. So if you're new to the podcast, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to follow us and subscribe on your podcast app. Leave a review if you so inclined. And hit us up over on Facebook at The Harsh Review so you can stay in touch with all things happening. Ryan and Sean, us.
Yes.
The collective we.
I'll post those Orson Welles clips.
Yeah, please do.
Because that'll make your week.
It will. Until next time, guys. Have a good one.
All right.